Good morning and welcome back to the One Celtic Fans View this morning with myself, Baz. Lewis Palmer and Kieran Tierney are the hot topic of conversation today. I will talk about Kieran Tierney in a minute, but Lewis Palmer, the enigma, who plays absolutely fantastic for Honduras, and when he played for Celtic, just didn't reach the heights that we expected him to. He then decided to go back to Greece, and he's had a mixed season in Greece, although he will end up a double champion in Greece as well as in Scotland. The Greek club are not going to take up the option to buy at the end of the season for the Honduran, which is a difficult situation that Celtic now find themselves in, as they will need, Lewis will need to find himself another club. He's only scored the once. He's started to get game time in Greece, but he's contracted with Celtic until 2028. Celtic are going to try and recoup the 3.5 million that paid for him in 2023. So it's going to be an interesting summer, considering that Celtic are now looking for another winger because they've told the Honduran that he's surplus to requirements. He's not wanted at Celtic, along with many other players. And it's going to be interesting to see what happens if he ends up back at Celtic pre-season in training. Anyway, moving on to Kieran Tierney. Kieran Tierney, who his last time that he was at Celtic, back in 2017, he signed a new deal that would have taken him to last year, I think it was. I can't remember now. 2023, I think it was, it would have taken him up to, if it was in 2017. Yeah. But anyway, he signed a new contract in 2017 and he was sold 2 seasons later to Arsenal. I wonder how long. It's funny how Celtic have announced that Kieran Tierney is coming back, but obviously the deal is just a pre-contract agreement, but you would think that it would have been released by now how long the contract is for Kieran Tierney. Is it a 1-year contract, 2-year contract, or is it something longer? And will it work for Celtic? He did have options, I see. As an article came out today that he had options after leaving Arsenal with his 25 million deal that Celtic pocketed the cash for, and they're getting him back for absolutely nothing. Fantastic deal, they say, but let's hope it works out for both Celtic and Kieran Tierney, because if it doesn't, he may be looking to say, I maybe should have went to Italy. He had options in Spain. I thought personally, I mean, he raved about the lifestyle that he had in Spain when he was on loan up in the north of Spain. He had the chance to go to Sevilla, and I think that would have been a fantastic part of the world for him to spend a few years. He also had chances to go to Juventus. When you look at all the Scottish players that are currently playing in Italy, and in Napoli and Bologna, they seem to be doing quite well. So the fact that Brendan Rodgers did manage to talk Kieran Tierney and they're not going to Juventus, they're not going to La Liga, to come back and go to Ross County and Dundee United and all these fanciful places that he's all done before. I just hope that it works out. There's a lot of people who are still sceptical the fact that Kieran Tierney is coming back to Celtic and see him as a bit injury prone. Now, the injuries that he's had have been hamstring injuries, and I think that he's been unlucky at Arsenal, but he seems to be fighting fit, and touch wood that it's all okay going into the summer. He obviously wants to get his place back in the Scotland team, so tell me what you think in the comments. Is it really a good idea bringing Kieran Tierney back, and the fact that Celtic are trying so hard to retain the services of Greg Taylor, and there's a bit of noise coming out yesterday that Celtic have entered into further negotiations to try and retain the services of Greg Taylor. What does that say for the younger guys at Celtic that are coming through in the left back area? There's one guy, Matthew Anderson, whose contract is up at the end of the summer, and he's been out on loan for the past 2 seasons. Celtic really need to do something with it. Anyway, in other Celtic news this morning, there was also noises coming out yesterday that people are saying that Celtic need to get the deal for Brendan Rodgers tied up. With only 1 year left into his contract, you would hope. I mean, he's come out and said, I will be here 150% next season. There's no chance that I won't be here. I said right at the start, and I'm standing by my word that I'll be here for the 3-year contract. When it goes into the last year, if you're bringing back somebody like Kieran Tierney, what if Brendan goes after? What if we can't sign a deal? I mean, Brendan, and there's noises saying that it's going to be an easy deal to be done, but there is also the what ifs, and what if somebody comes in and doesn't fancy Kieran Tierney as a player? I haven't seen him at Arsenal. Anyway, that's all one for the future. We did a poll last night on the live asking people on the community how much they think that Celtic needed to spend this summer. The fact that we've spent quite a lot of money in the last year or so, and it's got to be said that the amount of money that we've spent on players, and especially since last summer, we brought in Austin Trusty and Adam Ida, and both haven't hit the heights that we thought. But I think Austin Trusty, I mean, he's had a lot of game time, and he's got the nod before Liam Scales. But when you look at the 16 million that it's cost for the two of them, 9 million, 15 million, because it was 6 million for Trusty, 15 million, and 9 million for Adam Ida, and 6 million for Trusty, wasn't it? When you look at the money that's been spent on them, was that value for money, considering players that we've spent before, or is it just the modern market and the way that it's going? Although the Adam Ida did score the winner in the Scottish Cup final last season, he's not really had the game time this season. He's always came on with about 15 minutes to go, and it's always difficult for a player to come on and be right up to speed. I think that he honestly must have thought when Kyogo left, he thought, right, I'm going to get a good run in the team, but the manager changed things up and wanted to play Dyson Maeda through. Is Adam Ida a waste of money? Is Austin Trusty a waste of money? Lewis Palmer, obviously he's went back out on loan, and he's going to have to find himself after clinching the Super League title in Greece. He's going to have to find himself another club this summer. That's money that he's been here for a couple of years now. Although Palmer, it just doesn't seem to hit the heights for some unknown reason. Anyway, make sure you join us tonight at 8 p.m. Celtic Part Time, where we'll talk about Brendan Rodgers and the deal that he may sign this summer. And what players do you think that we will lose this summer? Because I think it's going to be an interesting one. Brendan Rodgers has said that some players are fighting for their lives at Celtic, and some players will automatically move on due to the timescale that they've been at Celtic. 3.5 million for Lewis Palmer. He hasn't lived up to it. We sold Alexandro Bernabe, who was brought in for a similar amount. We made money back on him. It's all good having money in the bank, but Celtic really need to be spending it a little bit better, and they need to get more value for the money, because at the end of the day, it's us, the fans, that basically finance the club. I'm sure when it comes to this October, there'll be more record sales with the Adidas merchandise that's been released over the year, and we're probably not far away from getting, well, there's already been a sneak preview of the away top for next season that has been released over social media. Whether it is true or not, but it's something like an older top that we've had, just Adidas have made it a bit newer. But anyway, Paul Hartley saying that Rodgers needs to sign a new deal. Are you in the Brendan Rodgers camp, or do you think that Brendan Rodgers will stay for the one more season and then potentially move on after that? Tell me your thoughts in the comments, and on that note, have an absolutely fantastic day, Celtic fans, wherever you are, all around the world.